Devaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Jayam Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Diri Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktirvati Naishtiki. So today we are starting the 10th chapter of Canto 3 entitled Divisions of the Creation. Text number 1 onwards. Viduruvacha antarhite bhagavati brahma lok pitamaha praja sasarja tatida dehakir manasir vibhu. Shri Vidura said, O great sage, please let me know how Brahma, the grandfather of the planetary inhabitants, created the bodies of the living entities from his own body and mind after the disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the previous chapter, he gave all the blessings to Lord Brahma and he asked him to start the creation and then he disappeared. So now Vidura is asking how did Brahmaji do the creation then? He wants to know each and every detail of the whole process. Text number 2. Yecha me bhagwan prishta stvayartha bahuvittama tan madasvanu purvena chindina sarva sanshayan. O greatly learned one, kindly eradicate all my doubts and let me know of all that I have inquired from you from the beginning to the end. So there were so many questions he asked in the 8th chapter. Now he's saying, please tell me everything. Vidura asked all relevant questions of Maitreya because he knew very well that Maitreya was the right person to reply to all the points of his inquiries. One must be confident about the qualifications of his teacher. One should not approach a layman for replies to specific spiritual inquiries. Such inquiries, when replied to with imaginative answers by the teacher, are a program for wasting time. Prabhupada, just like Prabhupada, you read any purport, Prabhupada never said, I believe and I think, perhaps, maybe, it might be this, it might be that. He knew everything and he's confident about his answers. And he's quoting the verses from this scripture, that scripture. So that's what Prabhupada is saying. The teacher should know the answers. He should not be just a layman and replying by replying by some imagination. That's not a teacher. So that's what makes Prabhupada the perfect teacher. And here Vidura is asking questions to Maitreya Muni because Maitreya Muni is perfect teacher. Sutuvacha evam sanchodita stena chatra koshar virmuni pritah pratyah tana prashnan hirtis thanat bhargava. Sud Goswami said, O son of Bhrigu. So he is talking to Shaunak Rishi. O son of Bhrigu, the great sage Maitreya Muni, thus hearing from Vidura, felt very much enlivened. Everything was in his heart, and thus he began to reply to the questions one after another. The phrase Suta Vacha, Suta Goswami said, appears to indicate a break in the discourse between Maharaj Parikshit and Shukdev Goswami. While Shukdev Goswami was speaking to Maharaj Parikshit, Suta Goswami was only one member of a large audience. But Suta Goswami was speaking to the sages of Naimisharanya, headed by the sage Shaunak, a descendant of Shukdev Goswami. This, however, does not make any substantial difference in the topics under discussion. So it looks like there's a break in the discourse between Maharaj Parikshit and Shukdev Goswami because earlier Shukdev Goswami was speaking to Maharaj Parikshit that Vidurji approached Maitreya, and now Sud Goswami is speaking. So these three talks are going on simultaneously. And further on, there will be many talks, like Lord Shiva speaking to Prachetas, or Kardam Muni, or I'm sorry, Lord Kapil Dev speaking to his mother Devhuti. There'll be many talks, but how this whole thing is intertwined to give us the right teachings. That is the beauty of Bhagavatam. And this is Prabhupada said. This, however, does not make any substantial difference in the topics under discussion. And also in the shloka, if you see, Maitreya Muni felt very much enlivened because he is getting good questions, and good questions to a good speaker by a good inquirer. This is the whole uh, setting for the wonderful knowledge to come out. Maitreya Vacha Virincho api tatha chakre divyam varsha tapah Atmani Atmanam Avesha Yatha Bhagwanajaha. The greatly learned sage Maitreya said, O Vidura, Brahma thus engaged himself in penances for 100 celestial years as advised by the personality of Godhead, and applied himself in devotional service to the Lord. That Brahma engaged himself for the personality of Godhead, Narayan, means that he engaged himself in the service of the Lord. That is the highest penance one can perform for any number of years. There is no retirement from such service, which is eternal and ever encouraging. So Brahmaji performed penances for 100 celestial years and applied himself in the devotional service to the Lord. So, because this service to the Lord was pleasing to the Lord, his service was to do the creation, and this was pleasing to the Lord. So, this is considered as devotional service. Arjuna was killing the people from the other side, in fact, his own family members. But that was Krishna's order, and that was pleasing to the Lord. And that's why it's considered devotional service. Duryodhan also was killing from that side, but that's not considered as devotional service because it wasn't pleasing the Lord. So same activity performed by two different people with the different consciousness, different motive, defines what is bhakti and what is not. So penances, Brahma performed penances for 100 celestial years. Hiranyakashipu also performed penances for 100 celestial years. But Brahma is performing penances to get qualified, to get eligible, to perform services as directed by the Lord, for the pleasure of the Lord. So that is considered devotional service. Hiranyakashipu's penances were for his own sense gratification. So that's never considered a devotional service. So this is what the whole crux is, that we have to somehow understand what is devotion service. People try to say, oh, I'm karma yogi and I'm doing all this business for Krishna, but we have to see the end result, what is happening. So any little service for Krishna, that is devotion service. And if it is not, if the person is working very hard to make money, to enjoy, okay, it's good. He's working hard. He's not a lazy bum, but it's not doing any, it's not giving any pleasure to Krishna. So it's not considered devotional service. So it's not karma yoga. Yoga means where we link our consciousness with the Supreme. So it's just karma. Yeah, it's karma, but not karma yoga. तद्विलोक्याब्ज सम्भूतो वायुना यदधिष्ठितः पद्मम् ambhascha tatkala kritvirena kampitam. Thereafter Brahma saw that both the lotus on which he was situated and the water on which the lotus was growing were trembling due to a strong, violent wind. The material world is called illusory because it's a place of forgetfulness of the transcendental service of the Lord. Thus, one engaged in the Lord's devotional service in the material world may sometimes be very much disturbed by the awkward circumstances. There is a declaration of war between the two parties, the illusory energy and the devotee. And sometimes the weak devotee fall victim to the onslaught of the powerful illusory energy. Lord Brahma, however, was sufficiently strong by the causeless mercy of the Lord, and he could not be victimized by the material energy, although it gave him cause for anxiety when it managed to totter the existence of his position. So somehow that lotus flower and the water on which the lotus flower was growing, that means the water of the Garbhodak ocean, was trembling due to strong, violent wind. And here Brahmaji had just finished his penances and he was ready to do creation. And he was all alone in the whole universe. Narayan had just disappeared. So this is what Prabhupada is saying. Brahmaji was sufficiently strong and he could not be victimized by material energy. So, but he was in little anxiety. What is happening? Why there's so much of wind, strong wind? Text 6. Tapsa hi edamanina vidyaya chatma sanstaya vivriddha vijnana valonyapan vayum sahambasa. Long penance and transcendental knowledge of self-realization had matured Brahma in practical knowledge, and thus he drank the wind completely along with the water. Wow. So long penance and transcendental knowledge. Vidya Vinay Sambandhe. So one has Vidya, one has Bhakti, one has Tapasya, means one who is self-realized. Dhiras Tatra Namoyati. He doesn't get bewildered. Lord Brahma's struggle for existence is a personal example of the continued fight between the living entities in the material world and the illusory energy called Maya. Beginning from Brahma down to this age, the living entities are struggling with the forces of material nature. By advanced knowledge in science and transcendental realization, one can try to control the material energy, which works against our endeavors. And in the modern age, advanced material scientific knowledge and penance have played very wonderful roles in controlling the powers of the material energy. Such control of the material energy, however, can be most successfully carried out if one is a soul surrendered unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and carries out his order in the spirit of loving transcendental service. So the material energy is very, very powerful actually. Devi hi esha gunamai mammaya dharate, Krishna says, but one who is surrendered unto me, he overcomes it very easily. So surrender to Krishna is a key. And the material energy, material Maya, that's her service to Krishna, to keep the living entities under her control. But those who have taken shelter of lotus feet of Krishna, they can easily surmount it. Not to surmount material energy, but control it also. In the material world, scientists and all this modern age people, they're trying to control the material energy. They're trying to control, say, the wind or the water or other energies of the Lord. But they're going to fail miserably, and they do fail. Here in America, although it's the number one country in the world, technologically, economically, military-wise, but we all in a civil or structural engineering societies, they all talk about different hurricanes, Hurricane Katrina and other hurricanes that came. And when these hurricanes come, or earthquakes rattle the earth here in California, or tornadoes in Texas, Oklahoma, that area, tornadoes are very severe. And when these forces come, basically all the technology, all the powers that America has, they just stand there helplessly, just seeing themselves in the front of their eyes. Everything is getting destroyed. And they can't do anything. That's a power, that's a mighty power of nature. And this nature or material energy is just a fragment of energies of Krishna, just a little bitty energy. Of course, good part is since the country is so strong, so well off, it doesn't take too long to get back to normal, to rebuild everything. But still, when the nature shows its fury, its power, can't do anything at all. So somehow people just run here and there, try to save their lives. That's about it. Nothing else they can say. But here, Brahmaji, he just drank the whole wind. And because he had taken shelter of lotus feet of Lord. And thus, and along with the water, he drank the wind completely. Tadvilokya Vyadvyapi Pushkaram Yadadishtitam Anin Lokan Praglinan Kalvitasmiti Achintayat. Thereafter he saw that the lotus on which he was situated was spread throughout the universe, and he contemplated how to create all the planets which were previously merged in that very same lotus. Ha. So here it's a key to the creation in this verse. Actually, I was told this that it's there in Bhagavatam. I had never understood. Gopi Parandan Prabhu once told me. See here, Sudha Goswami is saying he contemplated how to create all the planets which were previously merged in that very same lotus. Prabhupada explains the seeds of all the planets in the universe were impregnated in the lotus on which Brahma was situated. All the planets were already generated by the Lord, and all the living entities were also born in Brahma. The material world and the living entities were all already generated in seedling forms by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Brahma was to disseminate the same seedlings all over the universe. The real creation is therefore called Sarga, and later on, the manifestation by Brahma is called Visarga, or secondary creation. So Krishna has already done the creation. And Gopi Parandan Prabhu told me that it's actually kept in the stem of that lotus. So it's just like for building construction, we have a blueprint. So blueprint is given, and looking at the blueprint or the drawings, one does the creation outside. So Krishna has already given the blueprint. The prototype is already there. And Brahmaji just looks at it and does the creation outside. Padmakosham tadavishya bhagvat karma choditaha ekam vibhangri durda tridha bhavyam tri saptadha. Thus engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Brahma entered into the whole of the lotus, and as it spread all over the universe, he divided it into 3 divisions of the world, and later into 14 divisions. So 3 divisions means upper, middle, and lower planetary systems, and then 14 divisions means 6 above, 1 earth, and 7 below. एतावा जीवलोकस्य संस्था भेदा समाहृतः धर्मस्य हि अनिमित्तस्य विपाका परमेष्ठयसो. Lord Brahma is the most exalted personality in the universe because of his causeless devotional service unto the Lord in mature transcendental knowledge. He therefore created all the 14 planetary divisions for inhabitation by the different types of living entities. He is the most exalted personality in the universe because of his causeless devotion service unto the Lord in mature transcendental knowledge. Brahmaji is not an ordinary person. We just look at few incidents and then we try to make fun of Brahmaji. That's nonsense actually. And moreover, he is the founder Acharya of our whole Sampradaya, Brahma, the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. And we come in this Sampradaya, so definitely we should have lots of respect for Brahmaji. And look at the services he's doing. He created, he looked at what Krishna did and he created 14 planetary systems with millions and millions of planets, or all the planetary systems. It's not easy, the service that he does. And this is what he does every morning. That's even more amazing. The Supreme Lord is a reservoir of all the qualities of the living entities. The conditioned souls in the material world reflect only part of those qualities, and therefore they are sometimes called the Pratibimbas. Pratibimba means a reflection. These Pratibimba living entities, as part and parcels of the Supreme Lord, have inherited different proportions of his original qualities. And in terms of the inheritance of these qualities, they appear as different species of life and accommodated in different planets according to the plan of Brahma. Brahma is a creator of the three worlds, namely the lower planets called the Patal Lokas, the middle planets called the Bhur Lokas, and the upper planets called the Swar Lokas. Still higher planets such as Maharloka, Tapoloka, Satyaloka, and Brahmaloka do not dissolve in the devastating water. This devastating water at every night of Brahmaji, not the full devastation. This is because of the causeless devotional service rendered unto the Lord by their inhabitants, whose existence continue up to the end of Dvipararartha time, when they are generally liberated from the chain of birth and death in the material world. So the inhabitants of Maharloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka, and Brahmaloka. Of course, Satyaloka is Brahmaloka. I don't know why Prabhupada called it separately. But anyway, Prabhupada is saying they don't get devastated, these lokas and the people living there, because of the causeless devotion service rendered unto the Lord by their inhabitants. So if they have rendered causeless devotion service, how come they are on the planets in the material universe? Because there might be a certain desire, tinge of material desire left. Although they performed, as Prabhupada says, causeless devotion service for many, many years. So when they perform this devotion service, but still the little tinge of material desire is there. So they are promoted to these planets. And Prabhupada says, so when they are generally liberated, when means after, at the end of lifetime of Brahmaji, they're liberated from the chain of birth and death in the material world. So at that time they get qualified, eligible to go back home, back to Godhead. So we shall stop here because now another theme will start. Vidurji will ask more questions. So that we'll take up tomorrow. Any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. And
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, you mentioned that the second layer, which is Bhulokas. So I have only heard about Earth being there, but it says Lokas means more than one. So apart from Earth, is there any other planet?
Yeah. So this is actually called Bhumandal. Mandal means a group of planets. So Earth is only one planet, as you said. There are other planets as well. This will all details will be given later on in this canto.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
You're welcome. So if there are no more questions, we shall stop here. You all have a wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Jai Shri
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare
Thank you so
Krishna.
much.